The next morning you wake up to birds trying their best to be annoying. Not majestic eagles or sweet little songbirds. No, these are the kind of birds that sound like they're imitating a rusty door hinge arguing with a kettle. Perfect. You stretch under a cypress tree and look toward the path. According to Apollo, before he vanished in a puff of self-importance, you're headed to a spring where water flows uphill, not metaphorically, literally, as in gravity apparently took a day off, so naturally you're curious, and also slightly suspicious. It takes most of the morning to reach it. The terrain turns rocky, then mossy, then strangely warm. By the time you spot the spring, you're sweating more than a satyr in a spelling bee. And there it is, a trickle of water streaming up a stone slope, curling delicately against logic. It flows like a ribbon, sparkling, as if the sun itself is whispering secrets into it. You blink. It keeps flowing. Well, you mutter, either I'm dreaming again or the laws of physics need a nap. Then you notice something else. The water isn't alone. Beside the spring, sitting cross-legged on a flat stone, is a young girl, maybe 12 or 13, hair tied in chaotic braids, a tangle of flower crowns on her head, and a stick in her hand that she's waving like a conductor. The stream seems to rise and fall in response. She turns her head before you can speak. Oh, good, she says cheerfully. Another one. You point at the water. You doing that? She grins. Mostly. Sometimes it does its own thing. Depends on the moon. And if I've had lunch. You raise an eyebrow. Are you mortal? She thinks for a second. Kinda, I was. Then a naiad bit me. Now I can hear fish gossip. You sit on a nearby rock, not questioning that. You've long since surrendered the idea of normal. So, why make the water go uphill? She tilts her head. Because everyone expects it to go down. You blink. That's it? She shrugs. I don't like expectations. Fair enough. You watch the water curve upward, delicately defying centuries of scientific reasoning. It flows in slow waves, pausing occasionally as if contemplating its life choices. You're not from here, she says suddenly. Nope, you reply. Just passing through, sort of on divine errand duty. Messenger? Technically shepherd. She squints. Of actual sheep, you sigh. Of Apollo's side projects, she snorts. Rough gig. Tell me about it. You sit in silence for a while, watching the water. Occasionally it burbles something that might be a tune or a joke, but you can't quite tell. Then she asks, want to see the source? You look up. The top of the spring? She nods. It's weird, I like it. That's good enough for you. The climb is short but steep. At the top, the stream emerges from what looks like a small cracked amphora wedged into the hillside. The pottery shimmers faintly, covered in moss and vines. It hums when you touch it. Ancient, she says. Maybe older than the Titans. No one knows who left it. Some say it's the tear of a god. Some say it's a prank. You lean in. And what do you think? She shrugs. I think someone wanted to change how the world flows. So they did. You sit back. The amphora pulses. The girl crouches beside it. The thing is, she says, water doesn't really care about rules. It just follows the easiest path, unless you ask it nicely. You look at her. And you're good at asking. She grins. I'm very polite. You can't help but smile. Can I try? You ask. She nods. Just whisper, don't push. You kneel beside the spring. Place your hand near the spout. Hey, you whisper. I know you're busy doing your thing, but could you maybe show me what's next? The water pauses, then it curves impossibly up your arm. It doesn't wet you. It just flows along your skin like cool light. And then, images, not clear ones, flickers, a temple built from sunbeams, a sleeping lion under an olive tree, a harp with no strings, still humming a lullaby, and a road, winding, dusty, marked with sandals like yours. The water slips away, returns to its path. You exhale. Okay, that was new. The girl nods. It does that sometimes. Shows stories that haven't happened yet. Is that safe? She snickers. Probably not. You both laugh. As you start down the hill, she stays behind, waving. Come back if you find anything weird. The fish love gossip. You call back, I'll bring stories. The spring continues flowing up, singing its strange, silent melody, and you feel, oddly enough, lighter, not because you've solved anything, but because sometimes in this long wandering, someone else takes a turn, holding the mystery. As the sun begins to slide behind the hills, you find a worn path, soft underfoot. The air is filled with that warm smell of pine and earth after a hot day. You hum a little to yourself, and somewhere in the distance, just barely audible, you hear the sound of a harp tuning itself. By now, you've walked far enough that your sandals feel like old arguments, familiar, worn down, and still slightly annoying. The sun's dipped low again, turning the landscape into a quiet painting, warm golds, faded greens, and shadows that stretch like lazy cats. You're halfway through humming a tune you picked up from the uphill spring when you smell it. Smoke, not the worrying kind. No acrid bite, no panic. More like olive wood and baked bread, a hearth fire, comfort. You follow it without really meaning to, winding your way into a grove where fig trees lean in like gossiping ants. At the center, tucked into a fold of the hill, is a small stone house. And outside that house is a man in an apron waving a wooden spoon. You're late, he calls. You freeze. Do I know you? Nope, he says, grinning, but I figured someone would show up. The stew's ready. You hesitate. Then your stomach, traitorous and loud, growls like a Nemean lion with performance anxiety. So you step into the clearing. The man, round-faced, gray-bearded, with arms like barrels and laugh lines so deep you could store olives. In them, gestures to a low bench. You look like you've been arguing with the gods, he says. You sit. Close. I've mostly been cleaning up their side projects. He nods solemnly. Worse? He ladles stew into a clay bowl and hands it to you. It smells like thyme, lamb, and 1,000 family stories. I'm Philo, he says. I cook for those passing through. You pause with a spoon halfway to your mouth. Is that a job? He chuckles. Only if you think hunger is a kind of curse. Fair. You eat in silence for a while, the kind of silence that doesn't need filling. There's something deeply comforting about the way he moves. Not slow, exactly, but careful. Present. As the bowl empties, he sets a jug of water beside you and sits across the fire. So, he says casually, what burden are you carrying? You blink. Straight to the deep questions, huh? He shrugs. I've been doing this a long time. People don't come here unless they've got something burning behind the eyes. You sip water. I don't know if it's a burden exactly, more like a long, weird favor. Ah, he says, the dangerous kind. You raise an eyebrow. Nods. Favors always cost more than they seem, especially divine ones. Ask for light, they hand you a torch and send you into a cave. You stare into the fire. I didn't ask, I just started following a god who needed to remember something human. Philo smiles. That's asking. In a way? You frown. Have you met Apollo? He barks a laugh. Once? He tried to bless my garden, killed all the basil. You snort. That tracks. Eventually, after you've both sat for a while, the old cook stands. Come on, let me show you something. You follow him to the back of the house, where an olive tree leans against a stone wall. It's old, older than the house, maybe older than the valley itself. Its trunk is twisted like a sleeping dragon, its leaves silvered by moonlight. Philo touches it gently. This tree has never borne fruit. You squint. That's odd. Looks healthy. He nods. It's as if it chose not to, or maybe it's waiting. For what? He shrugs. A reason. He kneels and presses a hand. To the roots. Some say this tree remembers, that its roots reach so deep they touch the forgotten parts of the world. You crouch beside him, there's a hum, soft, like wind in a clay flute. It's been holding something, he murmurs, but not for me. You touch the bark, and you see, Not clearly, not like the spring, but flashes. A woman dancing on sunlit. Stones. A wolf running beside a shepherd boy. A lyre hung on a nail untouched for decades. And a golden god weeping silently as he tends a tiny flock. You pull back. The hum fades. Philo pats the tree. It gave you something? You nod. A memory or a message. Maybe both. Good, he says. Then you can take the next step. You sit back against the tree, suddenly tired. Philo chuckles. It's okay. Most people nap after meeting the olive. You close your eyes. The fire crackles somewhere nearby. Crickets sing. The breeze rustles fig leaves and carries the faintest scent of rosemary. In your dream, you're walking through a forest where the trees whisper your name. Each step you take leaves a trail of light, and somewhere ahead, someone. Maybe Apollo, maybe not, is calling you forward, not loudly, not urgently, just waiting, patient, ready. When you wake, the sky is pale with dawn. Philo is gone, but your pack has been restocked and your path marked with little stones shaped like stars. You smile and walk toward the rising sun. The wind whistles low as you step away from the forge. Not sharp, not yet, but it carries a warning tucked inside its folds, like an old aunt pressing a wrapped sweet into your hand and muttering, "You'll need this soon, dear." You clutch the lyre tighter. It hums with every breath of air, a low shimmering vibration that you feel more than hear, like your pulse. Like a memory trying to get your attention from behind the curtains, the path narrows, and the world changes. No more olive, groves, or sleepy springs. Instead, sharp rocks, black earth. Trees twisted like they forgot how to grow properly. You don't need a sign to know you've arrived at Delphi. Not the postcard version, not the clean ruins with tour guides and postcards. This is old Delphi, the Delphi underneath the place. The earth still remembers. You descend slowly, each step pressing the silence deeper into your ears. The mist curls upward from cracks in the ground. Sulfur and time, something ancient and something sharp. You reach a stone arch barely standing. Vines have claimed most of it. On the keystone, a carving of an eye, closed. You step through, and everything tilts. The cave opens before you without warning. One blink, and you're inside. The ceiling is a cathedral of jagged stone. Water drips rhythmically, echoing like footsteps made of glass. And there, seated on a ledge, is a girl, no older than 16, draped in white, eyes shut. You pause. Are you the oracle? She opens. Her eyes, not surprised, not startled, just tired. I was, once. You glance around. I thought this place was sacred. It was before it was a brand. She stands, barefoot on the stone. Her voice is soft, but it slices through the air like wind across paper. You brought the lyre? You nod, offering it carefully. She doesn't take it. You have to play. She says, "Here, in this place." You frown. Why here? Because this is where he lost his voice. You sit down cross-legged, feeling the chill of the rock seep into your bones. The lyre rests on your lap, like it was always meant to. Be there. You pluck one string, and the cave responds, not with echoes, but with images. Apollo centuries ago, pacing this very floor. His back bent, his face shadowed, his mouth moving, but no words coming. The gods had left. Or perhaps he had left them. He had come to the cave to ask for clarity. Instead, he found silence. And in that silence, something inside him cracked. You play another note. Now you see him sitting, curled around his knees, humming tunelessly, not composing, not inspiring, just existing, just being. The lyre vibrates in your hands, strings glowing faintly. The oracle steps forward. Now ask your question. You blink. What question? She doesn't smile. The one he never could. You hesitate. Then, why did he stop speaking? The cave stills. The temperature drops. Then the oracle replies, not with words, but with an answer that blooms like a bruise across your memory, because no one listened when he did. The god of prophecy had shouted, sung, whispered, But people only heard what they wanted, only what fit, only what comforted. So he stopped and started again as a shepherd, because sheep don't pretend to understand. They just listen. You sit in the silence for a long time. The oracle does not move. Her eyes are closed again. You rise gently, tuck the liar away. At the mouth of the cave, just as the light begins to bleed in from the world above, she says, "He never left entirely. He just changed shape." You glance back, but she's gone. Only the drip of water remains. You step out of the cave and feel the world open back up. You've got a lyre with a soul, a memory that no longer hides, and one last thing to do. The road back feels different. It's the same path, technically, the same scrubby hills, the same whistle of dry grass, the same suspiciously judgmental goat watching you from a ledge. But something has shifted. It's not the world, it's you. The lyre rests against your back, humming like a cat in a sunbeam. Not loudly, not insistently, just there, present. Like a heartbeat you hadn't noticed before, you crest the final hill and spot the old stone hut again, the one with the patched roof and the faint smell of fennel and wet wool. You can just make out a flicker of smoke curling from the chimney, and standing in the doorway is Apollo, or someone who looks very much like him, except softer. His hair's tied back with a bit of twine. His robe is dusty. There's a smudge of something, maybe ash, maybe stew, on his cheek. And his expression when he sees you is the most complicated emotion you've ever seen packed into one human face. He doesn't smile. He doesn't speak. He just nods. You step inside. The place smells like time and old stories. He gestures to the table. You sit. He sits opposite you, silent, and the lyre begins to glow, just faintly, like it knows where it is, like it remembers. You take it out. Place it between you. He doesn't reach for it. You do, and you play. Just one note. A long, low chord that vibrates all the way through the wooden floor and out the door and into the hills beyond. You feel it settle into the ground like a seed. Then you play another, and another. Not a melody, not yet, but something like the shape of a story, something that asks softly, "Can you hear me now?" Apollo closes his eyes, and then he sings. No words, just a voice, pure, golden, cracked in all the right places. It's not the voice of a god performing. It's the voice of a shepherd remembering how to speak. You realize suddenly that he doesn't need the lyre anymore, but he did need you, someone to carry it, someone to listen, someone to ask the question he couldn't. The song fades. He opens his eyes. They're shimmering, but he doesn't blink. You nod once. He nods back, and then gently you hand him the lyre. This time he takes it, not like an instrument, like an apology he's finally ready to accept. You leave the hut before nightfall. You don't look back. You don't need to, because the air around you feels settled somehow, like a book with its final page turned, like a god who, for once, doesn't need to be worshipped, only understood. The sun sinks low, painting the hills in gold and rust and shadow. Your footsteps grow softer. The wind hums in a key you recognize. Now, and as you walk, you realize there's no grand reward waiting, no ceremony, no final reveal, just peace, just quiet, just the knowledge that sometimes the hardest thing a god or a personess can do is listen. And tonight they did. The path fades behind you. The breeze slows. The world softens. A warmth settles behind. Your eyes, gentle and inevitable, like sleep pulling you toward its quiet shore. So you let it. You let the story drift backward. Let the cave dim. Let the forge cool. Let the sheep bleat faintly, safely, somewhere behind the hills. Let Apollo sing. Alone. Let the lyre rest. Let the night have you, just for now. End of script. Sweet dreams.